Hey, it's B-Rad Celebrity Hairstylist here, your host of the Hairstylist Empowerment Podcast. But tonight, we've got a special presentation for you. So are you a salon owner or somebody that works in a salon, but you already have your biggest mistakes? So with the biggest mistakes, we're going to talk about that tonight. So if everybody can kind of say hi, where you're from, put that into the comments, and then we can see you. Then that way we can kind of connect. And if you can put your name beside it as well. So we're streaming on like a few different platforms tonight. So we're on YouTube, we're on the Canadian group, we're on the the cruise group and some other groups here. So I just want to introduce Caylee Auge, who I had on the Hairstylist Empowerment Podcast. We had such a reaction. You didn't know you had one of the highest views.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it was kind of out in the abyss, and I'm like, did anyone see it?
Yeah, it's everywhere. It was like one of the ones that everybody wants to know, I guess, about finances, about growing their salon, about making mistakes. So I'll just what we did, we'll do a brief overview, but what we're going to do tonight is Caylee and I are going to start off. We're going to play you the broadcast, which is about 30 minutes. Then we're going to come on and ask your burning questions. You can go through, you can type your questions into the comments. So either above or below this video, wherever you are, and then we'll take off. So I'll just let Caylee just kind of give a brief introduction. And then because we do one in the show anyway, but just to say hi and let's roll.
Yeah. Well, I'll just say a quick hello. You'll get my intro in the video, but I'll just let you know that I learned all of these lessons because of my own mistakes. So we might be like, oh, I don't want to admit to any mistakes, but we all have them. We all make them. And as owners, we're so uber positive that we try to play it down. But I learned these lessons the hard way. So you'll get to hear some of those fun stories.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So we are here live. So you see us live. So if you type in the comments, I'll shout you out so you know we're live. And so now I'm just going to play our thing from the Hairstylist Empowerment Podcast. We're still on live, so we'll still be answering, and then we'll come on after and we'll answer all your burning questions. So here we go.
Yay.
Hey, it's B-Rad Celebrity Hairstylist here, your host of the Hairstylist Empowerment Podcast, a platform that allows the voices of the beauty industry to empower with the spoken word. Thank you for joining us today on today's show. We're currently over 57,000 downloads, thanks to you, and on over 40 plus podcast platforms, including Amazon Music, Audible, and Spotify. So owner of an award-winning Hype hair studio from 2009 to 2019, Caylee Auge has a lot of hype around her name. And I'm so glad we have her here today. She's a certified John Maxwell. John Maxwell is like incredible. Trainer coach, L'Oreal Professional Business, a trainer coach, a course creator with Inspiring Champions, and a winner of Canada's Best Beauty Talent. She grew her salon to over 1.1 million. Can you believe that? So if somebody can do that coming from nothing, and she'll share her story, and then she can show you how you can potentially do that as well. For the last 5 years, Caylee has been dedicated to sharing her 25 years of experience in the beauty industry with salon owners worldwide. Her passion to empower salon owners and take charge of their business using an easy-to-apply tools and strategies led her to create her online membership program. So endorsed by West Coast Beauty, Salon Scale, John Maxwell Team Certified Member, L'Oreal Professional Paris, and Beauty Council of Western Ontario. Let's welcome today's guest, Caylee Auge, to the show. Welcome, Caylee.
Aw, thanks, Brad, for an amazing introduction. That's so nice.
Did I get your last name right?
You did.
I did.
Yeah, Auge. Yeah,
French,
I married a Frenchman.
So I'm French.
Yeah.
So good.
Oh, yeah.
So I better get it right.
Yeah. Oh, good.
So Caylee, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Oh, right. Well, beauty related. Well, hello all to all the listeners here. I'm so happy to be here today. And my background in the industry starts from back when I was 15 and I started skipping high school to go wash hair in the hair salon. So my mom thought I was at school and I'd, rush home to get the automatic phone call that said you weren't at school that day, and was washing away. And that was my kickoff to my career that's lasted my lifetime now.
Wow. So what was the turning point when you knew you wanted to be in the beauty industry? You said at like 15, you're washing hair. So what made you as a kid want to skip school and want to like be in the beauty industry?
Yeah, it actually goes back to one. I was just talking about a friend of mine. Her name's Anouk, and she's about 8 years older than me. And I was just in awe of her. She was such a beautiful person, and she was doing hair in the salon. And she used to show me, like, she'd say, "Oh, look at all of this cash, this money I made just doing like what I love." And she was just so vibrant. And I thought, wow, like that looks promising. I didn't really like school. I didn't like academics. And I just loved being in the vibe of the salon. And so just from a really young age, I was fixated on, getting the skills to be able to do that for myself.
Yeah, that's amazing, because I'm studied a lot of salon owners, millionaires, billionaires. Most of those millionaires plus all dropped out of school or didn't go, or you know what I mean? So real life education was kind of the best. And for you, it's kind of missing some classes to do what you loved. You must have loved it so much because you became a salon owner.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so with your salon, tell me about your experience as a salon owner, like getting into it, kind of how you set it up. Was it a great experience for you? Just everything.
Yeah, let me give you kind of the synopsis. So I kind of say it like this. I spent the first 10 years of my career serving my clients. And so I had the opportunity to be a commissioned employee with an amazing mentor, Rosalind Sitar, who taught me everything I know. And I credit like all my skills that I have doing hair to her. And then I rented a chair, which was like a stepping stone to owning my own salon. And I really did it because I wanted to build a team, and I really wanted to empower people and I wanted to make a difference. And so that was always my driving factor to opening a salon. I thought it was going to be easier than it was because I had had so many amazing, beautiful opportunities already in the first 10 years of doing hair. I worked with West Coast. They got me on with Sexy Hair Concepts, and I was already teaching by the time I was 18. I was teaching classes at West Coast Beauty. Wow. And by the time I was 20, I was traveling the world teaching. At 21, I was in Thailand teaching there. I was in Paris. I was all through the US. And so my career path, like from 15 to 25, was just always climbing up, right? And I thought, God, how can I get any better than this? Like, this is amazing. And so I thought opening a salon would continue to climb up. And the first couple years, well, I'd say the first year, so that was 2009, was really fun, but I was working 6 days a week behind the chair. I was hustling. I was working really hard. And then I got pregnant.
Oh, wow.
So 2009, I opened my business, right? I had no business skills. I had skipped most of high school, barely graduated. But I had a lot of passion and I had a lot of drive and determination. So I was just working really, really hard. And I thought if I did everything for my team and I had all the great product lines, I mean, all of them, like we had like 7 lines going on or something crazy like that. I didn't know about inventory stocking or anything. And so in 2011, I had my daughter, and I thought, oh, we'll go on a mat leave, and my husband's French, so we'll go to France. And the very first payroll bounced while I was in France with my baby.
No.
And that's when I had the eye-opening realization that as soon as you took me out of the salon, the business was not working, right? There was no business to be had. It was just like I was paying people to stay there out of the work that I was doing, and overpaying people, and just like a lot of leaks, like a big leaky bucket, right? You just keep putting water in and the water just keeps leaking out. So that's where I found myself at that point around 2011.
Yeah, because I find a lot of people think that They can go to school. You just open a salon, build it, they will come, turnkey, you hire some people, money's going to flow, and you don't have to like worry about anything because all the staff are going to respect all the use of products. They're going to, retail, they're going to rebook, they're going to, have people come back. They're going to be a model employee, but real life tells us it's not always that way. And yes, we do have some amazing employees, so a shout out to them, that kind of make the business like their own, that if you're away, you can trust them. That, in my own salon, I had to, whenever I went away for a holiday, I had to have shutdown. So I paid everybody to be off that week. Boom. Yeah. So I had no issues, because as soon as you leave the shop, even if you're gone for a couple hours, your phone's lighting up and we've got issues, you got that issue, you got to go. And I was a multi-salon owner. So when you're going from one salon to the other salon and back and forth, it can get a lot, especially if they're not close by to each other. And then when you get to the other shop, this big thing that was supposed to be massive really wasn't anything at all. So
yeah. we were just talking about, it's like Murphy's Law, right? The owner goes out of town and all of a sudden everything starts to break down.
Exactly. Yeah. And then going back a little bit, you had the drive, you had the passion, you had the determination, because it seemed from that few years that you went to traveling all over and being able to work with brand companies, which is like a dream for most hairstylist salon owners that work years and years and years, that are still wannabes that haven't been able to do it. Can you give a tip for people that want to be like a brand ambassador or want to get to work with companies? Or were you lucky that sometimes, which happened to me, is they approached me, so it made it a lot easier for me to be a platform artist and things like that?
Yeah, I don't think it's luck. I think it's the determination piece, because I coach and mentor a lot of people now. And I think a lot of people have these ideas in their head of what they want to do, but they never tell anyone. Mm-hmm. And they don't get specific enough. And so I knew, like, the first time I saw someone on stage doing platform, I was also in awe of them. Like, I'm like, oh, like, I want to do that. Right. So I had that like idea already. Mm-hmm. And so I was looking for opportunities for that. And Roslyn told me that Ro from West Coast Beauty here in BC was looking for an educator. And it's really funny when I look back at it now, because I've known Ro now my whole career. And I literally like begged him for the job.
Do whatever it takes.
Yeah. So Roslyn had recommended me, but then it was actually at her house and we were in her little office. Mm-hmm. And the interview was kind of like, why should I pick you? And I'm like, pick me, please. Like, I really want to do this. Just pick me. Won't let you down. And I was like 18. I had barely even any skill. I remember he filled a room of 50 people. Mm-hmm. And I had just got out of hairdressing school. And so of course I taught them the tricks I had learned from Roslyn. Yes. And they were all in awe because she's amazing. And she had taught me a few little tricks and she prepared me for the class. And mm-hmm. that first class, I guess it was either like a sink or swim kind of situation, right? Because I was definitely under-equipped. But and I even had someone that I had been their apprentice like a couple years earlier was in the class, and I was like sweating buckets. Mm-hmm. And but it went well. And it was such a, dose of adrenaline and excitement. And so that just was like on my way. And I worked for Sexy Hair Concepts. I think it was about 8 years. Mm-hmm. And then they had sold and the company changed a lot and it wasn't aligning with my values as much. Mm-hmm. And I really loved the team at L'Oreal Professional. Like, it was Anna Pachuti, I don't know how to say her last name now.
Yeah, Anna, I love her.
Danielle Benoit. And so again, I just really fixated on like, that's the team I want to work with. Mm-hmm. And I went after L'Oreal to work for them. So I didn't go apply at every brand out there. And I think that's mm-hmm. where, our listeners maybe get confused of like, they think they're waiting for an opportunity to come their way, or they're trying a lot of different places. But when you actually really know what you want, like, that impresses people and people want to work with you because you want to work with them. And so I think like, if you're looking for an opportunity out there, you want to get really specific about why you want it, who it is, and go after that opportunity yourself.
Exactly. And being clear, being focused. But I think what got you the other one, you were so excited where people would apply anywhere. It's like, why do you want it? And then people give the pat answers, but they could see it in your body. They could hear it in your voice, and that you were driven. And then to give you a class of 50, which may sound small to some, but when you're a new educator, 50 is like overwhelming. It can
Yeah,
be
exactly.
overwhelming. You can get stage fright. You're going to like, everything I know in my head is now going to go out the window.
Well, and I was 18 too, right? I
Yeah.
didn't have like a ton of life experience behind me or storytelling or anything like that. So yeah, room of 50 at that point was big. But obviously then when you do a show, it's hundreds of people and it's
Well,
a
of
different
course. And I
ballgame.
think always as an educator, like people think I can't teach, I don't know anything. We always know something or a little bit more than someone else. So basically that's the audience you're going to go for, is somebody that wants to go where you are now that haven't been there yet. The same with your kind of teaching. So with yours, what was the turning point where you wanted to put your focus on finances for salon owners?
Yeah. So this takes me back to, I've always been interested in money because my family didn't have any. And it's not that I love money or I'm money hungry or anything like that, but I find that money can make decisions for you. And when you have enough money and you don't have to think about it, you can make your own decision. Mm-hmm. And that's what really attracted me, because I saw my family making decisions based on the money that they had. And they weren't necessarily the best decisions or the right decisions for them, but it was a decision based on like how much money they had. And so at a young age, probably like about 16, I had decided like, I don't want to make my choices, my life choices based on money. Mm-hmm. So that equals, I need to get money out of the picture, meaning I need to have enough money that I can make my choices without having to consider the cost of things. So that was a seed planted, really early, and a decision that I made.
Mm-hmm. So you, with your parents, did you always hear those things? Money doesn't grow on trees, can't afford it, blah, blah, blah. Like there's a ton of them, right? That
of course
you're like, I'm never going to say those words to my kids.
Yeah. Well, and Brad, you know what? My mom would take a calculator to the grocery store because there was no credit cards and they had the budget. Like you had to live within your budget. And so she would take the calculator, and as she would put the items in the cart, she'd add them in the calculator, all to avoid like an insufficient funds message at the till, because that was just that amount that she had for her groceries, right? And so for me, that was really like, whoa, like I don't want to be in that position, right? So I started reading The Wealthy Barber, which was fitting at that time, right? Yes. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And since then, probably read every single money book. And, a lot of people don't want to talk about money, or they think money is a hard conversation, but I really see it as just a tool to be able to like amplify who you are already. And so when you can like actually learn to produce income, it's really cool because you can give it away, you can support causes that you love, you can help your family, you can do things that you're passionate about without having to be like, oh, I would help that person if I had the money. So that was really inspiring for me to see, all those techniques in the book, they really work. And I was like, well, I want to share them because they worked for me. And it started out that I actually wanted to share them with my team. So when I bought my salon, I thought, here's a group of young, it was mostly women. Sometimes we had a couple men, but it was mostly women. And I said, I want to inspire them to be able to have the success with money that I was able to have. And so that's when I started to kind of create some programs to start teaching what I had experienced about money.
Exactly. And a lot of things, I mean, people, you hear things like money is the root of all evil. The love of money is the root of all evil. It's really not, because a lot of times some people, yes, may be in love with money and they want to make more just for themselves. But like you said, there's usually, when I do coaching, I have something called the why that makes you cry. So it's a drill down. So it's never actually that one thing. It's always something else. Yes, you may need money, but it's usually maybe to take care of your elderly parents. Maybe it's to buy that car you need because you've been, taking the bus to work for 5 years. Maybe it's, that you want to spend more time with friends and family. Maybe it's because, so one thing that's going around the internet now is you're lucky to be an owner because you get to choose which 80 hours you get to work, which I find hysterical because I think we all did that in the beginning. But now I think the point of that is you become an owner so you don't have to work 80 hours a week. And I don't believe that you shouldn't spend time on your business and in your business, but also too, we don't all work that we have to do it 80 hours a week, that in the end, all we've done is had a business, service clients, paid bills, and then that was our daily thing. Come back, do it all again. And in the end, we never get a vacation. So we work 14 hours. So we get a couple hours sleep. We work 50 weeks so we can get 2 off. Like that to me is not life. That's not why you do this. Like, and most of us say with education, we're in school, until high school or even college, university. So there's like 20 some years of your life already gone just with school. And then now you have to get a job. Now you have to, so to be an entrepreneur, it takes a lot to step out there. But I think the risk being an entrepreneur, I think it's worth it just to kind of, the main goal is not money. I think the main goal is to serve. And that's what we should do in our businesses. Money comes from service. But I also think that, like you said, with money, we can do things for people. We can do projects in other countries. We can help. We can adopt, an animal. We can do all kinds of stuff that make the world a better planet. So with a lot of the hairstylists, with you find your own experience, but the people that you talk to as a coach, what are some of the most common mistakes that salon owners make?
Thanks for asking that. I love that you said, we can make the money with their passion, because that's so true. And that's how I made money was, I was so passionate about making my client happy. Like, I don't understand this culture today of firing clients. Like, I was on a mission to make the most difficult client happy.
You would win them over.
You win them over. And when you make the most difficult client happy, they're yours for life, because not very many people are willing to do what it takes to make them happy. So when I hear this culture of people like firing clients so easily because, probably they don't have good communication skills to set their boundaries, I'm like, whoa, that's, there's an extreme case for that where it's necessary, but it shouldn't be the norm, I would say. So what do I see as the biggest mistakes? Well, the passion piece brings the income in. So it brings the revenue in. But then what do you do with that revenue is where the mistakes start to happen. And so that's where we need teaching, training, and understanding of our financials, because I had 600. So I bought my salon was at 200,000 in sales. I grew it very quickly to 600,000 in sales. That year, we were 1% profitable. I worked 6 days behind the chair. I didn't take a paycheck. So we were passionate and we were driving sales and we were growing, but I was not managing that money in the business tightly well enough. And the number one was the payroll leak. And I was so scared of changing the way we paid people. And I had bought a salon kept their pay scale. And, obviously they sold because they weren't making money. And I didn't change their pay scale because I didn't want to lose the people. And so I thought I could clean up the rest of the business. And so I was tightening every area, like negotiating with vendors and finding this like smallest merchant fee and, really trying to like make the business work. But the payroll was just so out of whack that, whatever I cleaned up, in the end, I ended up having to completely change the way we paid people. And then we started to become profitable. And so that was really hard, right? That was really, really hard. And so the mistakes that I see, I would say when we talk about money mistakes, the biggest mistakes are the payroll, to either overpaying the commission or having too much support staff, equal payroll problems. And any salon, 4 chairs or under probably doesn't need a receptionist or an apprentice. The numbers just don't work out. And the second one would be back bar wastage, just like hundreds, thousands going down the drain, and it's not benefiting anybody. So it's a really great place to clean up your business because you're not taking back from anyone. You're not like lowering the experience to client. You're just cleaning things up. So that's a great place to clean up your business. And then sometimes people just get into leases that are way too high for the operations that they're doing, right? Like I was consulting with this girl who had just signed a $7,000 lease, and it was her and her sister who had no clientele and were just starting out. I mean, you need to be doing like 70 grand a month to cover that kind of lease, right? And they just don't understand. They think, well, if I can do 10,000 myself, then I can cover the $7,000 rent. But we both know it doesn't work that way, right? So those would be like the financial mistakes. But the mistake I see right now, the biggest mistake I see right now, I would call it like misplaced priorities. And when I say that, everybody wants to do what's like fun and sexy in their business and what looks good on paper. And so everyone wants to recreate their new website. They think maybe if they change their messaging, more people will come. They think if they get better at their social media. And so they're spending a lot of time, or maybe they need a new floor to make their salon look a bit more beautiful. And even a lot of people got this COVID money and renovated their businesses while they were closed and not bringing any revenue, right? So I'd call that like misplaced priorities, because you're fixing things that are actually not fixing the actual problems in your business.
And that's the thing with social media, because everybody before, you know what I mean, in a town, you could be the only hair salon, or you and another salon. The competition wasn't there. But now there's so many places that clients can go. And yeah, you can have slick advertising. You can have, like, I could see this ad, the ad is done beautifully, it looks great. And then I walk in and the receptionist ignores me. Then I finally get to talk to them. I make an appointment. The stylist says, hey, go to the back. I've never been there before. Nobody shows me where the back is. Go to the shampoo area, get the shampoo. Now I've got water in my ears, soap in my, and water down my back. And then I get to the stylist who is double and triple booked. You know what I mean? So yes, you're getting them in, but I probably wouldn't come back to a shop like that. Maybe I had to use the restroom, and then I found it was worse than a garage. You know, the gas station garage washrooms that never been.
That's not good.
You know, because one stylist came in, and I interviewed them. They said, "Can I use your restroom?" So they said, "I wouldn't have taken the job if your restroom had been dirty." Because that's a reflection of how everybody cares about the business. So of course in mine, it's immaculate, but you know what I mean? But that raised a concern, like, yes, what if somebody's not taking care of those little things, or has a ring around their stuff? It takes 30 seconds to sweep your station. I worked in one shop where we had to sweep, vacuum, and then mop every single night to make sure everything was clean. There wasn't one stitch of hair. But that's the thing. It's about really creating that experience. If you're going to do all this stuff to get people in, make sure the experience you're offering is one that they're going to become an advocate for and tell their friends. Like, I go in and I have to tell Caylee, I went to this place. They came in, they did aromatherapy, they had candles. The shampoo technician talked to me about my, whatever issues I had with my scalp. The hairstylist took the time to do a great consultation. They didn't rush me through. They booked properly. And then when I got to reception, they offered me product, and then, asked when I'd like to rebook. So those are two different experiences that's easy for, owners and just even people. And I've been where you are, where you get, you're doing the advertising, you're getting people in, but with certain stylists, these clients are just going in the black hole, and they're not coming back.
The first scenario you gave is exactly, I've seen it, where you're just burning marketing dollars. You're just burning them up because they're coming in one time and you have a revolving door. And that's where your like data and numbers are so important, because you can see all that. And so I was working with one of my salons who does amazing marketing. And so I'm like, okay, it's odd that things aren't growing as fast as they should be with this marketing that you're doing. So let's have a look at the numbers. And we had the one who was taking the most new clients had the poorest retention rate. And so, those are the things that you want to fix before. You want to make sure you have like a really good retention rate, and you know how to convert those calls on the phones before you start turning the marketing machine on. So in my mind, the marketing is last, right? We've got to put foundations in. We've got to know our mission, vision, values, like why our business is there, who we're serving. We need to know our financial model to make sure that it's working and at what point it will be working, because otherwise you can increase, like we did 600,000. I mean, that's a decent sized business. Stylists are busy doing a lot of clients and have no profit. Even if I made it $1 million at that point, it would still have no profit, right? So more clients, more staff doesn't equal a healthy business. And that's the other focus I see everybody's focusing on. They all say like, well, if I just found new staff, if I could just find staff, my business would be okay. If I could just find the right team members, my business would be okay. you can add all the staff you want, you can add all of the new clients you want, and it's not going to fix your business. So we need to make sure the financial model's there. And then we need some systems and processes to make sure that, like you said, that customer experience is managed well, that not everything is counting on you, because you need to be able to take time off and you need to be able to leave your business. And then when all that's in place and we know that the machine is running well, then we start marketing to it. And that's when you've got the recipe for success.
Exactly. And that's something so simple, but it's something that people overlook. Like, your programs sound amazing. Would you tell our audience a little bit more about what you offer?
Sure. Well, we've done a lot of different things. And what we found works best is we found that there's a lot of the same problems happening. And so we've put those into video, because that way we can keep the cost down for people, that they don't have to spend a lot of money for one-on-one where we're teaching the same things over and over. So we've got a video aspect of some of the most common things. And then we've got a group aspect, because it's so great when you can learn from your peers and you can connect outside of the program and support each other. And it's just really beautiful to see that. And then we also have a one-on-one aspect, because we know that you need like your own customized journey through the content, because everyone's facing different things in their business and have more like different urgent needs. And so the journey looks a little different for everyone. So when you work with us, you get your concierge call, which maps you through the program. Then you get a vision setting call where we find out, like, what are you trying to achieve? Where are you trying to get? And where do you want to be 4 months from now when we finish the program? And then you get a call with me where I put a strategy together, and we start to build all the pieces of the learning pieces that you need and the strategies that you need in your business to grow. And then we support you every day on Slack. I mean, you don't have to be there every day, but we show up checking Slack if there's questions and really communicate with you to move you through. So it's a real deep dive, fast track program to put those pieces in place that we know make that turnkey business that you're talking about, where the owner can go, a few months and come back to the business still functioning.
Yeah, and I believe it's always great to have a mentor or coach, somebody to bounce stuff off, somebody to guide you, especially somebody who's actually done it before. And they're say, okay, this is what I did in my business, but obviously they're going to cater it to the person they're guiding and they're helping. So if somebody's interested in signing up or learning more, where can everybody find you on social media?
Yeah, well, maybe we can pop a link in
Sure
for
can.
Booking an evaluation call. So it would either be with me or one of my coaches. And basically we would see if we're the right fit and if our program suits your needs. And then if it is, then we can let you know how you can sign up. And if it isn't, then we'll do our best to provide you with a resource that we think will suit your business. Yeah,
and we're also going to pop some links in for anybody who's listening or signs up with Caylee. She has offered some free resources for you online that you can kind of check out and that sort of thing. So as we kind of wrap up, this time went so fast. You're probably the guest that it's when it's like the fastest from. But what's a nugget of gold you would like to leave our audience?
Nugget of gold for in the kind of financial area or business building?
Just in anything, just any kind of anything you want, you feel like dropping.
Well, I think right now where I'm at and what I'm seeing is like clarity. So I think when you have clarity about what you want and what you're doing, that gives action. I have, some clients and they're like, oh, I'm struggling with procrastination or I'm not getting this opportunity that I want. And I'm like, well, tell me more about that. And I don't think they're procrastinating or they're not getting the opportunity. I think they're just not clear exactly what they want or where they want to go. So I think when you can get really clear about what you need from your business and really clear about the lifestyle you want to create for yourself, then you can start to make those things happen in your life and you can get a roadmap there and you can find someone who's already been there and you can get them to mentor you to get there. But when you're kind of floundering and you're not really sure, that's when you get stuck in these places of like procrastination or inaction and just feeling like you're not moving forward. So I guess that would be my nugget for today.
Yeah, it's a great nugget. It's like a gold boulder because that's really what people need. They need clarity, they need focus, they need vision. But obviously, if somebody signs up with you, that's something you help them with that they
that's
can.
The first thing we do. That's the first thing we do is we get clear on what are we trying to achieve here.
Yeah, because you want to make sure, because how can you go forward if you don't even know where you're going, or you don't know what you're in alignment with? And that's one thing you said earlier, is that you wanted to work with companies that felt in alignment with you. And that's what some people do. They just like, I want to work with any company, whoever hires me. But if they're not really in alignment, same when I have guests on the Hairstylist Empowerment Podcast, if they're not in alignment with my audience, with how I resonate, my mission and vision statement, like obviously too, they may not be the right person for the show. So as we wrap up, I want to say thank you, Caylee, for being an amazing guest on today's show. We'll make sure to drop the link, and I'll see you guys next time.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, and all the best to all of you. You can borrow my passion and drive if you're lacking some right now. I've got enough to go around.
Hey, well, I hope everybody enjoyed that. Yeah, as you see, we are here live. Caylee Auge and myself, B-Rad Celebrity Hairstylist. And this is the biggest mistake salon owners make with Caylee Auge. You can find her at www.cayleeauge.com or on Instagram at Caylee Auge. And then she's happy to connect you. There's some resources. Please make in the comments. And then, because we can't see everybody's name and to show we are live, so this from a Facebook user, we don't have your name. Unfortunately, in groups, it doesn't put the name, but it said Caylee and Brad, two awesome, beautiful people.
So that's sweet.
Whoever you are, thank you. A big shout out to you. Share this video with all your friends to say, hey, Brad shouted me out and that sort of thing. So what are your burning questions? So if you have burning questions about being a salon owner, finances, just anything, because I think the biggest mistakes we went over, and that's the biggest thing too, there's so much waste at the back bar. There's so much people opening salons when they really shouldn't be. You know what I mean? Or they get out of school, they open them up, they think, or, oh, it's only $7,000 a month, I can do that, no problem. And I have no clientele. But if I pay money into advertising, then they're going to come. Well, now all those advertising dollars you're putting out, maybe you're doing creative financing and that's your rent money. So you're gambling on the thing that this ad that your advertisement rep said, oh yeah, it's going to bring you a ton of business. Is it really going to bring you some business? So we have some questions here. And then, so to get going, you can write them write your questions into the comments. And when they pop up, I can see them. We can add them. We're only on for a couple of minutes, but you can always watch a replay. So if you're watching live, say live. If you're watching the replay, watch the replay. But some things that kind of came in, like, so how would listeners strike a balance between enjoying their present lifestyle and saving for the future?
So
if they wanted to enjoy life now, but they also didn't want to take every single cent they have and put it into the business, put it into the stuff, is there a way to have a balance of both? And how did it work for you? Like, did you have a balance of a home life with family, whatever, and then your business life, and then still trying to save some?
Work-life balance is this like elusive thing that we're all trying to grasp. And sometimes you grasp it and then all of a sudden, poof, it vanishes again. I read a good book. I can't remember. I think it was The One Thing, something like that. It was talking about the idea of counterbalance. And I really love this idea of like, sometimes it calls for like an all-in work effort, but make sure you counterbalance that with an all-in vacation or an all-in like timeout mode, where I think, the hustle culture is like go, go, go nonstop 6 days a week. And, it's that 2 weeks a year vacation, which is definitely not enough. And I actually had done this little video. I live boat, like water access only. And it's about 3 kilometers from the mainland. And sometimes I cross on my paddleboard. And this one day it was really windy. and I was paddling into the wind, and I really wasn't moving forward at all. And so this called for a time for me to either like give up or ramp up my paddling.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to conquer. So I ramped up my paddling. And so I had to paddle hard until I passed that windy area to make forward progress. And then when I got to my destination, I could rest fully. Whereas if I just stayed in that windy spot, paddling in a mediocre way, I could have stayed there all day long and never got to fully rest. So sometimes, when you're trying to strike a balance too early in your career or too aggressively, then you end up just working harder and kind of staying in the same place and never really getting where you want to go. And I think that's a bit, maybe what's happening in our culture today is everyone's like, balance. I only want to work 3 days a week. I only want to work 2 days a week. But they haven't put in that strong paddle to get past the place where you can coast. And like my life right now is very luxurious and very restful and very balanced because of the hard work I did early on in my career when I had the energy to put in. So I think, you can strike a balance in many different ways. It may not be that every week of your life is in balance, but if you can definitely counterbalance the seasons of harder work, you'll definitely come out ahead to a place that feels really great.
Exactly. And do you find that people can also have the other extreme where they're kind of working, like you said, being in the boat against the wind? They're like doing all this stuff. They're promoting every day. They're staying long hours. They're doing they're doing so much stuff, and they're thinking, I'm not doing enough. I got to do more. But yet they're putting in all this time, but they don't seem to be going anywhere.
Oh my God. And I love that because I actually, as I was paddling across, I thought about that exact same thing. And I'm like, if I'm not making any forward traction, this is actually insanity because I could be here paddling out in the middle all day and not get anywhere. And so what I did was I picked little buoys, people drop their prawn traps, and I picked little buoys along the way. And I used those as milestones to see that I was making forward traction. And you're exactly right. There's so many salon owners that are in this hamster wheel, and really all they're doing is acquiring debt. And so they're actually paddling really hard, but they're going backwards. The wind is still overpowering them and pushing them backwards. And so unless you can see some milestones of progress along your way, you could just completely burn yourself out. So those are both really, it's this perfect balance of wind. And I think that's the balance maybe, our listener who asked this question is talking about trying to find the balance. Like, to me, finding the balance is like, how can I be progressing forward to my goal, and overpowering the obstacles without flying backwards and without getting stuck where I am.
Well, and that's right, because they say like getting going, more debt, because a lot of people think, okay, hire, so it'll alleviate it. So I hired more stylists, so I don't have to work as hard. But now I have more stress because I have these stylists that, there's issues. So, and I think, because, but I think that's kind of where a coach comes in, or somebody to, like the buoys, like have those goalposts. Where do I need to go? Where, what can I do? And I think another one here is, can you provide some practical tips for listeners on how to budget effectively and save money? Or do any of your programs sort of apply to this question?
Yeah, exactly. That's really what we're working on with our clients, is really analyzing the numbers. So again, it's back to knowing where you are and what's coming in and what's going out. But it's flipping the typical mentality on its head, where it's saving first, right? It's saving always first. And if we look at it, if you're not managing your money personally well, likely you're not going to manage your business money well either. And so that just like amplifies the problems. And so you can apply this to your personal life. When you get your personal paycheck, 10% goes to retirement. I like to have a 10% generosity fund. Those are my two priorities. And then I have to live off of what's the rest. And so many people say, like, that's just not possible for me. I don't have enough money to make my obligations. And the hard bottom line there is, you either have to change now or you have to change later, like 10 times. because the longer you let it slide that you're overspending, like you can change now and not have to dig yourself out of a big hole. You can just be like, oh, this is not working, I have to change now. Or you can wait until you dug yourself into this big hole, and then you can be like, oh, I need to change now, but I now need to dig out of the hole before I can actually change. But you still need to make the changes that you need to make now. So that's why I'm like, the longer you avoid this stuff, the more painful it is. And so the bottom line is like at some point, the lenders are going to run out, the debt's going to pile up. And that's just the reality. Like I see it over and over, people in business for 10 years that have only debt to show for it. It breaks my heart. Because I know it just takes some simple balancing of the scales, the old fashioned scales with the marble, like let's take one marble from this side over here and another marble. And it's these tweaks, little tiny tweaks that put it back into being able to save money and budget effectively. And so, but we have to take the time to like dig into it, like what can go, and we need to prioritize saving money. So in your business, that looks like having a profit account to put some profit money aside. It looks like paying yourself for all the roles you're doing in your business so that you can see if your business is actually working or not. And then it looks like tightening up your operational costs. So going through with a fine-tooth comb and eliminating expenses, negotiating, getting rid of things. Maybe you have like redundant softwares. Maybe you're spending too much on marketing. Maybe your payroll, like the way you pay people is way inflated. Like there's so many potential leaks in there. And so when you can do those first things first, then you can start to fix the other leaks that you see, because you're actually going to be able to see them more clearly. And that's exactly what we do with our clients. We hold them by the hand and help them to do those things, because it can be hard to face.
Yeah, exactly. Because a lot of them, and I think that is another big mistake. A lot of salon owners, don't pay themselves. They're like, I'll get paid when everything else gets paid. You know what I mean? But you have to factor that in for yourself. Like, how are you going to live? Do you just, live on your tips? Do you take something out of the business, or you do creative financing with, I'll pay this month and that month and have that all sort of thing? Like,
well, and not only that, Brad, but what if you wanted to sell? Like, who's going to want to buy your business when you're like, oh, well, you're going to work for free. If you buy this business from me, you're going to work for free. Like, that's not really a business you can sell or exit. So it becomes a trap. Like, I think that people value their time and their freedom more than they value money. But when you have, like, when you're engaged in debt and you're engaged in financial obligation, that steals your freedom and your time. So you need to get your money straight so that you can enjoy freedom, and you can know that at any time you could stop doing what you're doing. There's no obligations on you. And that's when you can really thrive in your passion, because you know that you're choosing to be there. And I think a lot of people have got themselves in such a sticky financial situation that it steals their joy of what they're doing, because they're working for past things. And so that's a burden, right? It's like work now is a burden because you're trying to catch up with past things. And when you can actually be ahead and on top of this, and you can have that savings, and everything's covered, you can really enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah, because I think the worst thing you can do, I know with first starting a business, there's so much money that goes out, you know what I mean? And a lot of owners, which, some, not all, but they max out their credit cards, and then they pay the minimum every single month. But you have to realize that not much is really coming off that principal. You're paying mostly interest every month. And they're like, well, I need this stuff. Maybe that's why. So we're leading into our last kind of question, which is similar to the one you kind of just answered. But how can listeners prioritize their financial goals and create a roadmap for achieving them? So I think this kind of applies to some of your free resources that you're kind of giving away. And two, they can contact you as well to get on a program that would kind of help them see where they're at, see what their goals are. Because I imagine you've done enough clients now that not everyone's financial goals are the same.
Exactly. So, which I love. I love
that. and that's exactly it. It's about, I don't think it's so much about making the money. I think it's what money can do for people, which gives you be able to take time off, to be able to go out to dinner, to be able to pay off your parents' mortgage, to retire your parents. Like everybody has their own reason of why they want money to come in. And that's the part of money that people love. When it's coming in, it's great. Look, I'm going to throw it in the air and lie on the bed and swim in it. You know what I mean? I've never done that. But you know what I mean? But there's also the other
Or
two.
when it's not coming in, they're beating their head against that brick wall
Well, yeah,
behind you.
this is where you come in because they just don't know where to go. Like say
Yeah.
on that hamster wheel, where do I need to go? How do I get these prioritized? Which, like if I want to take care of debt, how do I do that first? What prioritized? So when
Yeah, it's
you
all about prioritizing, right? And that's where like our expertise comes in, is we know what the numbers could look like. We know what all the best practices are. And so when we see your set of financials from your business, we can easily say, okay, we know you could trim down here. We know you could trim down here. If you trim down here, it's going to make the biggest difference for you. You're going to see a return right away. And so that's where, our expertise can shortcut the results big time.
Wow, this has been great tonight. I know we could probably keep talking on and on and on.
Always,
So
yeah.
if you're watching live or on the replay, put live or replay. But if you have your burning questions about just being a salon owner, about staffing, about anything, like Caylee has been a salon owner. She knows where you've been at. She's had, you've dealt with staff, you've dealt with owning a salon, you've dealt with, you know what I mean? So you know what these salon owners are going through. So just like write in the comments and I'll make sure that she'll get them and she'll answer them either in the comments or send you a PM or DM sort of thing. I want to thank everybody for watching and we'll see everybody. I'll let you close out if
Sure,
you want.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say, like, don't be shy. Reach out on me on Instagram and share your challenges there. We have lots of freebies, like Brad was saying. So, we can send you some calculators that can help you figure things out, or we can send you some videos, whatever. If you can let me know what your big goal is and what you're working on in your business right now, I likely can send you some support for free. So
and those tools are amazing. I went through, I believe, I mean, I've saw everything.
I think we sent you everything. We're like, here, Brad, what do you?
The things. And that's why I had to have Caylee on, because I knew that what she offers is very important to what, you need. So as I say, reach out and, reach out and touch someone, but reach out and touch base with Caylee and she'll guide you.
And we can get on a phone and chat too and see if we're a good fit. So no strings attached. Just we really want to support salon owners and figure out what's the best next step for you. So we can point you in the right direction. We can tell you about our program. We can just have a chat to see, what you're going through right now. So connect with us. I'll be happy to support you. And thank you, Brad, so much for this time together. I always enjoy listening to you. I was kind of cringing at having to listen to myself, but it wasn't so bad because you made it so much fun.
I know, it was so good because I'm there and I'm still interested. It's like, even though we were both there the first time and you watch yourself, because I don't tend to watch myself, so, but you can see how much value and how great the podcast was for a lot of people. And as you say, it was one of the highest viewed that I've had. So, which is great. So people are out there, they may be busy, but it's still nice to, to reach out and do something. And I like to kind of give back, pay it forward. So in the group, yes, we do a lot of things, but it's still nice to have something that's a little bit different. Yes, I want to thank you. This tonight was from Beauty Industry Cruises, which I'm the host or captain of. So we go to we have powerful education and beautiful destinations. We have some coming up. Make sure you go to the website, www.beautyindustrycruises.com. And we've got some great, we have our consciousness one now, our holistic summit at sea. We're announcing another one shortly. We have more destinations around the globe coming as well. So I want to say thank you again. And then I'll just give you a little kind of video of what you'll see.
I'm heading through the wilderness. Somehow I made it through like a virgin.